versus Wolfe.
Koenig versus Wolfe. I'm Doug Wolfe, General Manager Clay Koenig, and your editorial this week that we're going to be debating and discussing.
Yeah, it's about voting, why people are not voting. I want to find out why. Because I was taking a look at the ages and the breakdowns. I was looking over the United States and looking at local races. And it's interesting, you know, the people who are less likely to vote are between the ages of 18 and 24 years old.
Mm-hmm.
Why? What is it going to take to get to these kids? They're kids, basically, right? 18 to 24, you consider that a kid.
Right.
But they're still an
young
adult.
adults.
Yes. Young adult. All right. But they still have that right to go out there and vote. Why aren't they voting?
See, when the voting age was lowered from 21 to 18, that was back in the early 70s, am I
71.
correct? 71, thank you. It was in the middle of the Vietnam War. And I think the big issue then was you were old enough to go to war, get wounded for your country, die for your country, but you weren't old enough to buy a beer.
Ridiculous.
And now you could vote, but you can't drink a beer.
Yeah,
So,
yeah I don't understand.
figure.
Yeah, I was just, it's different because they say that the people that are most likely to vote are 65 years and older.
My generation.
Your
baby
generation,
boomers.
yeah, and just they want to go out there because you want to make a difference. You want to have a voice. You want to be heard if there's something going on locally and local municipals. If you have a chance to make a decision on that, and we have to get the youth involved because they're going to be growing with the communities that they're supporting.
But I think we've seen this along the years, where as they get older, they take more responsibility and
Sure.
vote and that kind of thing. Now, you and I were talking, the local races, municipal races, they come like in April every couple of years for city council, mayor, park board. Actually, the most important races because of taxes, they affect your pocketbook the most, but usually have the lowest turnout because there just isn't that much interest for whatever reason. Now, on the national level, as I was telling you, the midterms and the presidential elections in recent years have been absolutely phenomenal. The midterm in 2018, 49% turnout. It was the highest since 1914. 46%, a little lower in 2022. That was the highest of all the midterms since the 1970s, it was one of the highest since the midterm since 1970. And the presidential race back in 2020, 66% of the voting population voted. 66%. That was the highest since 1900. And I think people have the interest because they see the TV commercials, you know? They
Sure.
see the commercial for Joe running for Congress, Bob running for the Senate, and whoever is running for president. That brings out the people in November to vote. Primary is a different story. Here in Illinois, the primary is going to be over by the time we get here. Joe Biden won't have any competition. So the Democrats aren't going to be spending money here in Illinois. We're just not a battleground state. And the Republicans, they're going to be done. I mean, Trump in the polls, if it holds, he's so far ahead that that'll be over with by the time they get to Illinois. The only way it wouldn't is if Trump dropped out, went to jail, got knocked off the ballot somehow. Then you would see a primary race that would generate some interest. But I don't think there's going to be any interest in the March primaries.
You're watching Koenig versus Wolfe, and when we come back, we're going to talk more about your stats that you were just
Sounds
talking
great.
about.
All right, welcome back to Koenig and Wolfe. And Clay, we've been talking about voting. And one of the statistics I found interesting was education levels and how they switched parties, okay? For many, many decades, Republicans dominated the college-educated voters. The non-college educated voters went Democratic. That's been switching over the last several elections. The Democrats in 2020 basically dominated the college-educated voters, while the non-college educated voters went for Donald Trump and the Republicans. So there's been almost a complete reversal based on education of which parties these folks are voting for.
Why do you think that is?
I think like Trump grabbed onto the populist, I'm for the working guy, blah, 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 blah. Now, does that hold in 2024? I don't know. A lot of the unions, for instance, are coming out now and already endorsing the Democrats. But we're a year and a half away, not a year and a half, maybe a year and 1 month, probably about 13 months away from the election. That's a political lifetime because things change over a period of 2 or 3 weeks, never mind 13 months. So, it'll be interesting to see what happens. I think we're going to see a big turnout in 2024.
All right, so we've seen the big, behemoth like the NFL and Major League Baseball have these voting drives, doing commercials,
Right.
PSAs, public service
Sure.
announcements. What do you think is going to attract an audience of 18 to 24? If those are the people that are not voting, but those are the people that can vote, what can we do to get, if you had 1% point difference from 18 to 24, it could make the whole difference in an election if you think about it.
I think it's getting celebrities involved. I know a lot of people, oh, I don't want to hear celebrities. Well, they do. And we talked about this sort of in one of our last editorials, Taylor Swift.
Yes.
All she said was, she didn't name a political party. She didn't name a candidate. All she said was go to vote.org or vote.com. It was vote.org. Anyway, go to one of those vote things. She said that and had 35,000 people in a day register. 35,000.
I remember registering. I remember when I turned 18, going down to the post office. It was a big deal,
It was.
to register because they always said it's the law. You have to register and stuff like that. But I remember going down to the post office, getting the card, walking out of there, and it was a proud moment, turning 18 years old and being able to vote and stuff like that.
I grew up in New Jersey, went to the post office, registered to vote, and the next place I went was the county clerk's office in Elizabeth, New Jersey. You know why?
Why?
I had to get what's called an ABC card. It was the identification card the state of New Jersey put your picture on so you could buy alcohol.
Is that right?
My mother had a meltdown. She goes, where were you? I said, over in Elizabeth getting my ABC card, and I could just see it was like butter.
So, I was thinking about when I was 18 to 24 in whatever town you're living in, I'm not involved with the local elections. I'm really not
No.
reading the local newspaper
No.
about who's doing what or what pipes are getting changed. It's all about education.
Mhm.
The more you're educated about that certain fact or cause, you're more apt to go out there and vote.
And if there's a particular topic too, people get, hung on. When I was younger, the war in Vietnam was a big deal. Over the years, right to life was a big deal. It just depends on really what the big issues are of the time. I think COVID was a big issue in 2020. I really do.
Absolutely.
And what will it be in 2024? I'm not sure we've defined yet what the big issue will be to hang on to then. Do you think there's been an issue defined for 2024? Nationally, I'm talking about. Locally is another thing.
Doug, and I'm going to have several editorials on this, I'm sure, but I honestly don't know if America can survive a Biden-Trump election again. I just don't.
Oh, it's going to happen.
I know it's going to happen. I know that things are going to be happening that are going to shock us, and then afterwards we're going to say, well, it really wasn't that shocking. But I know that this world is changing every day, and it's going to be a very interesting time for us.
Look at the way the world changes in a week. All right? Week and a half ago, Israel, as we're recording this, a week and a half ago, Israel's invaded by Hamas, terrorist group. That wasn't even on the radar. And now all of a sudden it's every day. If you turn on like MSNBC or Fox, it's every day Hamas and Israel.
It's the network squeezing those dollars out of the story.
They are.
They do it all the time.
And in fact, I've noticed a lot of like on MSNBC, I watch a lot. I've noticed that their weeknight anchors who are normally on, they're suddenly on all weekend.
Oh yeah.
They're collecting the extra money
right.
out of their contract on that.
That's right.
But the people who did the weekend normally, you haven't seen them in the last 2 weekends.
So what's the best way that these young adults can get involved with the local races? What do you suggest they would do?
Go to the candidates and ask if they can help hand out literature. The big thing a lot of candidates do is door-to-door campaigning.
Absolutely.
They need help, if not doing the door-to-door, even putting door hangers on the doors. Vote for Bob, or like party-wise, vote for these Democratic candidates or vote for these Republican candidates. They can help like that. Parades. We're going to get into parade season early next year on Saturday mornings. And, you have to go march in parades somewhere.
Yeah.
And I'm talking about especially like state representative races where they have maybe 5-6 counties or a congressional race. Those parades always need volunteers to hand out candy and literature and all that stuff. So those are ways to get involved early on. You know what? We're out of time.
Out of time again?
Yeah.
Thank you, Doug.
I don't know why we're out of time.
Well,
I figure you and I could sit here for another 3 hours. People would watch it, right?
one of these days we're going to have to talk about some sports, and then we're going to bore people for a
Okay.
long time.
Yeah.
Bore people for a
How'd the
long time.
49ers do?
Not so good, Doug. But thanks for bringing that up. I
That's
really
all right. I'm a
appreciate that.
Bears fan. They did equally as bad.
Man, it's isn't this amazing? I mean, it's our show, and right at the end, he's got to give that little stick.
Well, I
That
know.
little stick. That's
If
all
I
right.
can stick you, I'm going to.
Look, humility is a good thing. If they can learn from it, get back to business, start winning again, we're going to be in good
Okay.
shape.
And register to vote. I'm not telling you who to vote for. I'm not telling you what party to vote for. Just register to vote and do your civic duty, right?
We'll see you next time on Koenig versus Wolfe. Thank you very much.